So noting the time and the presence of a quorum, this is the Boxborough Finance Committee meeting, 7 p.m, actually 6:59 on my computer. We need to do a roll call attendance as we have one person calling in from the Cape, I assume. So if you state your name and presence, starting with John.
John Grevin, present.
Okay, and Joe?
Joe Stolpa, present.
Michelle Ryan, present.
Randy Ellen, present.
Tony Newton, present. And John Connor? Can't hear you, John. You're muted. Do we need to unmute him or something?
He's unmuted. Okay,
He's muted.
I will ask him. He should be able to unmute himself because he's a co-host, but I will mute him. There he is.
There he is.
John, can you unmute yourself? Oh, I think he says he's trying. Because he's a co-host.
Okay, go.
There.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I apologize for that. I have been here for a while.
Can you say your name and present, John, just for the record?
My name is John Connor. I am present.
Good. Great, thank you. So firstly, welcome Michelle Ryan, new member. Perhaps Michelle, you'd like to just say a few words about yourself, just to introduce yourself to the group.
Sure. Hi. Hi, I'm Michelle Ryan. My husband Ray and I moved to Boxborough maybe like 4 or 5 months ago now. Originally from Chelmsford, Mass. Just came back from a 10-year stint in California. I have a very active dog named Blue. I like to travel and I work in manufacturing. So really excited to be here.
Great, thank you. Thanks for coming on board. I'm also here. We have Mike Johns, Town Administrator, Honghua Lee, Town Accountant, Finance Director, sorry, and Susan Back from the Boxborough News. And that's it. Okay, so first order of business is the minutes for June 24th. Anyone get a chance to look at those?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote to approve that. John Connor?
Hi.
John Green?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
And Tony Newton, aye. Okay. Any citizens' concerns? No citizens.
We have no concerns.
Okay. So first order of business is the FY25 budget. So first thing I've got here is I think we have now finalised the Q3 dashboard. I can't find it. Should be there. Give me a moment here. Oh, here we go. So this is the only, just for your benefit, Michelle, this is, the dashboard is something we do every quarter. It includes an update of our quarterly expenses, income, our debts, and our staffing, and also where we are in terms of property tax that's not been paid yet. So we've been back and forth on this last one, which was not quite finalised, but we now got the numbers for the various quarters for real estate, which also shows what was paid for previous years in the various quarters. So thanks for getting that, Honghua. So I think this is now final, this dashboard, unless there's any other questions on this. I suggest we get this up on the website so everyone can see it.
So is 7,000 at this point uncollected for FY25 normal? Or because we don't have Q4 yet?
FY25, we don't have Q4 yet, do we?
Okay, so we're assuming that
Yeah.
7,000 is in that number.
7 million.
I'm sorry, 7 million.
Yeah.
Okay, and why are there no Q3 personal property taxes?
That's a good question,
Is
actually.
that the way it's?
Yeah.
I mean, property taxes are billed once a year.
So that number I gave you, Tony.
Was
The email that I sent you.
Yeah, was it in there?
Yes.
That may be my error then, I
Okay.
apologise. I mean, check on that.
I have the number here.
Give me the number then, yeah, and I'll.
So Q3 personal property 184,713.
So it's
184, 713.
184. Sorry,
184,713.
713. Okay. Great. So what does that make the total at the bottom there? That'll be wrong now, I guess.
$534.82, maybe?
533,902.
Yeah, that's fine.
533902.
Yeah, thank you.
And the uncollected number?
That's gonna be the same, because that's real estate tax.
Oh, it's real estate, yeah, sorry, the personal property uncollected, yeah.
Yeah, so it's gonna
Would
be,
change.
that number will probably go down by the 184 presumably,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Tony, I have one question if you're,
Yes, go ahead.
Good Lord.
if I heard that, Maria.
No, it's really loud in this room. It was like the voice of God.
Yeah. The
Well-
man behind the curtain.
Okay, all right, John, I never
You know
should
I'm soft-spoken, so I need some
That's
audio assistance.
Got it.
So I've noticed that if you look at Q4 and then you look at Q4 for 24 and 23 and 22, why is there no Q4? Like, people always pay their taxes in Q4?
Oh, good call. And look at those real estate numbers in 24 and 23.
So,
That's not right.
so which
Yeah,
one?
so kind of right where your cursor is. There, it's just from a pattern perspective, there should be,
Well, Q4, no, Q4 is not, we haven't got Q4 yet.
no, this is for 24.
2024. Look at the numbers
Oh,
2024.
right, yeah. But nothing was, we haven't had Q4, this is Q4 money received in Q, so this line here, Q3 real estate, is money received in Q3 for real estate
Yeah.
for this year and for previous years. So 43,000 was collected for for all of 2024.
Oh, okay.
So we won't know what number came in Q4 for FY24.
Because the FY24 is just what's paid in FY25.
Exactly, yeah.
23,
yeah.
22. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So there's nothing for Q4 yet.
Okay, so looking at that 43,081 then, so that is basically whatever was paid for in Q3 of this year.
Correct.
Towards 2024, it may have applied to any quarter in
Any
2024.
quarter, yeah. Out of that 299,000 that was owed at the start of the year, we've received now
Oh, okay.
160,000 or something
Okay.
of that.
So that's really good.
So we got
We've
half.
been
Yeah,
able to-
we got half of it back already.
Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
So yeah,
Great
so
that she's been able to do
the
that.
big picture here is that we're not doing too bad actually in terms of collecting outstanding taxes.
Can I ask Mike a question?
Yeah,
Mike, was
yeah.
she able to do that without doing a tax taking on those properties?
Yes.
So that's really good. So
Yeah.
then what's left may be ultimately a tax taking, but it's still a small amount.
Yeah, and a lot of it is spread across
Yeah.
a lot of small,
Yeah.
amounts,
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
a lot of properties.
Good.
How does uncollected real estate in 23, fiscal year 23, total a negative?
I don't know. Yeah,
Overcollected?
there's some sort of accounting issue there, I think. So yeah.
Y23, let me see. That was,
18,000 overpaid.
So we've but there's something's gone wrong there. But I mean,
that
Yeah.
we have to write off
yeah.
FY23, right,
yeah,
Mike?
Yeah.
We have to write off some of the accounting issues that we may have. We may not like it, but.
Yeah. But I mean, the point about this is we started doing this dashboard later than the rest of the dashboard because we were concerned about whether there would be a lot of outstanding tax that we were not collecting. But the picture really is that we're not in bad shape for outstanding tax. So that's the good. That's the
I
good
would
news
say
in
the
this.
picture is that our tax collector's doing a pretty
Yeah,
darn
yeah.
good job
Yeah,
collecting these
yeah,
back
yeah,
taxes.
yeah.
Because I think they were probably out there for a couple of years before she came, right?
Yeah. So yeah, so if that's all okay, we'll get this off to Rajon and get it onto the website. Is there any end of year update, Hongwa or Mike, in terms of the FY25 budget? I know you're working on closing the year out and stuff.
Yeah, this week was, was like payroll and then AP trying to like
Yeah.
closing out and stuff. I'm still
Isn't
in
today
progress
the day?
with that. I'm sorry?
Today's the day you have to close the books,
Yes.
so they're closed?
No. But today's last day, but we're still in progress.
So in the department, there's still somebody down there working in the office, and the other one is going to get down there as soon as we're done here. So we still have some hours left on the clock.
But
Okay.
we're in good shape, right? We're not like looking at a September date like we were a couple years ago.
We are in good shape. And last month, we reported to you that, you know, it was close to $1 million that we expected to be going back to free cash. But that's a lot of, from a lot of different areas. And it's much less than that, you know, now that we've paid $450,000 something in salaries since we reported to you last time. And I can give you a quick rundown. So it's in excess of $500,000 that'll be going back to free cash. And I can give you, between the two of us, we can give you a quick rundown on,
Yeah, please, yeah.
an explanation of
Yeah.
what that's from. So we brought on an assistant treasurer collector after a gap of several months. And we brought somebody in at a lower step than the previous person had been there. So that was, you know, money saved. Associate planner, we know there'd been a vacancy there for some time. Also brought somebody in there at step one. Building inspections, we had a person who left there from a midway on the steps to another position in town, and then we brought someone in after a short gap in at beginning step. So that was a
That's
savings.
admin.
That's the admin,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
Yep. Snow and ice, we know it's mild year, so there's a lot going back from that in both materials and labor. Health insurance, there's a lot going back from that in excess of $200,000. And, you know, there's a variety of reasons for that. One, it's hard to predict. Two, we've had a significant number of people opt out. We've offered opt-out bonuses for people through their contracts, and people are going to that.
And how much where's the bonus coming from? Is it coming from this
It's coming
fund?
from the same line, but it's a much lower amount
Right. How
than
much is
what
it?
we would be.
Just ballpark.
Yeah, I think it's $1,200.
$1,200? One
Yeah.
time in a year?
Yeah. Is that correct?
Okay.
It's a small amount.
It's a small.
You know,
And
it's-
is that like if you
it's-
opt out
it's
of a
less
family
than-
plan?
It's like 5% of what the insurance plan
I was
costs.
gonna say, because a family
Yeah.
plan, we usually budget 24 grand.
Correct.
So, excellent,
Yep.
okay.
And I may be wrong on that number, but it's not.
But I
more
mean,
than-
it's short money.
It's $2,400 or less. It's short money, so it's 5 or 10% of the cost of the insurance. And people have changed plans, you know, going from, you know, one to another or whatever, and moving on to spouses plans, that sort of thing, or moving to a parent's plan where they get the, you know, a bonus, but by doing so, by not hurting themselves. Mosquito control we talked about last year. We're going to budget differently for it this year, so we have, you know, a fair amount of money going back for mosquito control. We talked last month about veterans. Actually, I might have just talked to you, Tony and Susan, about this. Veterans benefits. Our VSO is doing an extraordinary job, and he's getting a lot of veterans benefits through the VA claim system, and which is putting people out of the category where they could get financial assistance, but they're getting that financial assistance from the federal government and not through the local. So that's money going back in. There was, I think it was one less student for Assabet, so there's some money going back there. We have 3 police officers that came in at the beginning steps where they were budgeted at higher steps. Fire, we had a much lower use of on-call and part-time salaries, so that's money going back.
But does that mean we're not scheduled, because we can't get them to fill the schedule? I mean, do we have enough people on?
So,
Is that a conversation with the chief?
well, we've had, because we've had more people on full-time. If you remember
Okay.
last month, we came back to you for a supplemental
Yep.
on the full-time salaries. But there was a savings on the on-call, on part-time salaries. And two last things, fuel, we saved a lot of money there. I think part of that is that the fuel costs have not risen. You look at what's at the pumps, and we're getting discounted fuel, and it hasn't risen the way we expected, fortunately. And then utility costs all around town for electric and gas on all the buildings has been much lower than we expected, as well as, we went to the LED lighting, and that saved us a lot of money. So those are some of the areas. That's not everything, but those are some of the major drivers on why we've saved so much. And you'll see that going back to free cash in this coming year.
So
Right.
$500,000.
Yeah, in excess of $500,000.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's much more reasonable than where we've been the last couple of years.
Right.
We've been at like $1.5 million. Like, it's
Right.
been a crazy number. So this is tighter for us, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
better because that means we budgeted better
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's good reasons for these
Good
drivers.
reasons, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, great. Okay, so next up is reserve fund transfer. So we do have one reserve fund transfer, which got this afternoon, and I sent it all out to everybody as well. Here we go, share. So just for Michelle's benefit, what this is, Michelle, is that if money is needed for emergency purposes beyond what was in the budget, we have a reserve fund for that. And for the reserve fund to be tapped into, money transferred, the FinCom need to vote on it and agree that that's a reasonable use of those funds.
And it needs to be for an unanticipated or emergency.
Yeah,
So it can't be because a department had under budgets to look good at budget time. It needs to be,
Got it.
like fire, we did overtime because we had reasons that they had extra overtime. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
so yesterday's the last day to do this.
It is.
So do you want to just talk through this, Mike? What this is for?
Yeah, this is for actually your department's or your committee's line for your minute taker. And I think it was $3,600 or so that was budgeted.
Yeah.
And you probably had one extra meeting than you had scheduled, throughout the
Right.
year. So it's $107 that we, do come up short.
So we
just-
pay per meeting for him, do we? I didn't know, yeah.
Is that-
We pay per meeting? Is that how it
Yes.
works? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion, comments, questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, can you guys refresh me? So when this this goes to negative, what's going on there? Is it just that this line item is negative, but on the larger account value, we still have dollars? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Yes, because it's negative 107. Now we need to fill it. We need to replace that, I guess. I don't know what 107.48 versus 107.80 though.
Yeah, so it actually, if we didn't make this correction today, we would go in the negative. So I should have been reading off this. So it was $36.25 budgeted for the year, and it was $107.80 more than that. So if we don't make this correction tonight, we would be in the negative, which we're not allowed to do.
Right.
Well, how does the 107.48 cover the 107.80?
Yeah, there's two different amounts on there. Mike.
Good one.
Oh, that's me.
And
Typo.
I looked at it and signed
You're
it as
just testing
well.
us, right?
So,
No, this is my fault. I signed it last. I should have caught that, which is
So
the
I
real
can- I
number.
can
So which
check-
number
I can-
do you want?
I can
It's
check-
48.
48.
It's a 48.
You want 48?
Good job, Joe.
Okay.
That's two strike bottom.
Okay. So I'll take a motion to approve this.
My fault too.
Move to approve?
Second,
Okay.
as amended.
Taken as amended.
Yes, move to approve as
Approve as
amended, Joe.
amended, yes.
Okay. And we do a roll call vote. John Connor.
Like,
Grieven.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Aye.
And Tony, aye. Okay. And I'm going to sign this and date it. And we'll get back to Hong Kong. Okay, FY26 budget updates. So the only thing I got was that we received a note from the state with the updated cherry sheet numbers, which I looked at. So this was, let's have a look here. this is Boxborough's new, I guess, official cherry sheet amounts that we get from the state. So
Is this based on the new governor's budget that she just signed?
I guess so, yeah.
Right, Mike? Is that what it is?
Right, and I don't think this is much different than what we had.
This is not much, it's about 10,000 more than we
Yeah.
budgeted,
Yeah,
so
it's
just,
pretty
this is just for
close.
information really, so.
Yeah.
The
I don't think-
school made out pretty well, which
Yeah,
is good,
yeah,
which ultimately
yeah,
helps
yeah.
us.
So that's just an FYI really.
What's the chapter 70 money, Mike, that is on that cherry sheet for 32,000? Because that's education, isn't it?
It is, and that goes to school. We get that every year.
And it goes to the region?
Yeah.
Interesting, because they get their own number.
So that comes to us though, as it goes to?
No,
I
usually.
I think this is the number they're showing for the town, but it's going directly, it doesn't come through.
Oh, it doesn't come
Okay,
through us to them.
okay.
Okay.
Right, it's going
okay,
to there.
Okay,
Okay,
that makes more sense, thank you.
okay. So next topic is the FY27 budget.
Wow, that was quick.
Right? So we literally have we haven't even started the FY '26 budget yet. We
Well,
only
I've-
just voted it all. I feel like it was
Actually,
yesterday.
we haven't closed
We haven't-
FY25.
No.
We're spanning
We
4
need,
years here in an hour.
look, we need to plan ahead here, guys.
I guess.
And we're in the red.
There you go.
So I did a very quick calculation. This is very preliminary, and we can certainly put in different assumptions to this as we move forward. But the top line is basically where our levy and our levy limit are for the last 5 years, how much cushion we had on that. And it's not exactly right because this doesn't include debt exclusion overrides. So our cushion is actually a bit bigger than that based on the debt exclusion, but I don't know how to figure that out for this model. So basically, but based on this, we will be in the red. We'll be over the override limit next year and going forward. So the lower line there is adding a $5 million override in next year's budget.
Okay, so talk to me. I need to understand. How do we get to? When we ended this year, we ended up with a levy limit at about $1 million,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How did we get to?
So what I did
Negative.
was, here's my assumption as well.
Okay,
So I looked at the average levy increase for the last 5 years
okay,
and took an average of that, 5.5%. I looked at the levy limit increase for the last 5 years and took an average, 4.3%. So I plugged in those numbers as being the annual increase year on year. So that's just a finger in the air assumption right now, and we can actually refine those as we move forward. So if you make that assumption, these are the numbers you get to with those assumptions, with no override. If you put in a $5 million override, it obviously bumps up the levy limit by $5 million, and then that would increase accordingly. So the graph, if you look at the graph of that, it looks something like this. You get this bump up in 27, and then a gradual decrease in the cushion.
Can we extrapolate that out and see when the line would cross again and be able to predict when the next
I don't think-
override would need to be?
This goes out 9 years. I mean,
That's 9 years, but
Just
that's
I know we had one originally, and you mentioned that
Mike
it's sort of a
kids-
cyclical thing.
The last one was
and,
20 years ago,
you know,
right?
Yeah,
Last
it was
one
20 years ago. My kids were in
Yeah.
4th grade.
So
Yeah.
should this override get us 20 more
Well,
years?
there's a lot of ifs and buts in this, right? I mean, this is assuming everything stays level, that we keep within those numbers. So I think even with a $5 million override, I think it's getting 10 years would be lucky, actually, I think.
Well, but we budgeted, I mean, FinCom, after that override, that FinCom, they were really mean to us. By us, I mean all the committees, and budgeted really, really tight.
All right.
And so there was some really conservative budgeting after the override. So we got through the override year, and every year after that, I mean, they beat every penny out of every budget. It was tough, but it was good because it kept, that's one of the reasons we were able to go a little bit
Right.
longer with that override. So I think we just need to do that.
So,
We need to
Michelle,
think
you
about
understand
that.
the override
Yeah, yeah, we've
situation.
talked about it before too.
Yeah. So I think I think this is a very preliminary first pass right on it.
So can we just be clear that we're not looking to increase our budget, for anyone who might be watching, by $5 million?
That is exactly the message here. But the message here is that we want to keep our budgeting tight and consistent. And we've been very consistent over the last few years. And that will continue. Nothing will change in terms of our increase in our budget. But we need to have the flexibility to allow it to increase, because the top 2.5 limit is not increasing as much as inflation.
Right, but we're not going up we're not using that whole
We're not going
$5 million
to
next
increase
year.
taxes by $5 million
Right, in
on
one
year
year.
one.
Right.
We're giving ourselves 10 years worth of flexibility without having to come back again for another override in a short period of time. So
Yeah, we need to start thinking about how to articulate that most efficiently and effectively right now, going forward. Because as soon as you put any number there, that's immediately what's going to be thought. And just one comment is, we need to come up with some, we can't just pluck a number. I know 5 million is a nice round number. I think we should do some analysis in terms of around what's the right number, you know?
Yeah, this is
we're going to get asked.
Yeah, this is my first pass, so I did put in different numbers there. I was putting in a number that I thought would get us 10 years, actually.
Right.
And a lot of that's based on the school.
And
Right.
I mean, I've talked to the school. I've got some numbers back from the school now in terms of what their strategic plan is, which are not plugged in here yet. So we can add those to this model as well. So I think as we model this, we need to put in there what we do know for the out years, and see how it looks, basically. But we need to start thinking about this. I mean,
We do. We need to start having these conversations, but it's going to be a tough year, right? Because we have a fire station that we're in desperate need of. At some point, we're going to need to vote that. And this override.
Well, that's a different override. That's a dead exclusion.
But it's
override.
still, people are going to be looking at it as.
Yeah, they're not going to see it different.
Right, they're going to look at it.
Same
That's why I think we need to make the point of, in this case, a $5 million override does not need. That does not mean we're raising taxes by $5 million.
No, the number to look at is really what is the tax number looking like? What's the levy number looking like as it goes forward? That number is this number, is top line number here, right? So it doesn't, that's, if you put in 5.5%, that's what we should be, I think, keeping ourselves within.
5%?
That's 5.5% I think in there, 5.5.
Tony, can you just pan left on that for your rows 14 through 18? Okay.
So we can start putting in, what we think the budget increase would be for Acton Box, the school district and the town and stuff like that, to make it more sophisticated. But, maybe this is an over-optimistic number. I don't know.
I mean, so what we need to look at is that's kind of where we've been, right? 5.5%. That's because the town has budgeted very tight. The school not as much, and they had that one year, and next year they're talking about a huge number, which I'm not sure they can pass in Acton, which means that this is all for naught, because we start again if they can't pass it in Acton because the budget goes down. But I think it's important that 5.5 is still a pretty hefty increase every year for taxpayers when you've got the seniors in town who are struggling. So we need to think about that as we look at this and say maybe 5.5 is where we're at. Do we need to try to bring it down to 5 or under?
But then we look at the school budget. I mean, they've got other pressures on them which are taking it above that number, and we've got the issue of the increased enrollment from Boxborough, which is driving our number even higher than the school budget number. So there are many factors here that sort of play in both ways.
I know, but it's just, our job is to do what we can. We have to come up with a number that works. I understand the school's got pressure, but the town has pressure too. We have a lot of pressure. We need to come up with something that balances the two. And that's our job, right, is to make sure that the school understands that our town pressure, they need to understand that and take that into account.
Well, this is part of that, right? This
Yeah.
exercise is part of that process of saying what can we live with looking forward. Understanding we're going to need an override anyway, whatever happens. But what can we live with?
Yeah, I guess that would be my question is like, because Maria, I know you've talked a lot about like the level setting budget and things like that. Like, what do we have now that I'm not saying necessarily cut, but like, yeah, like what's on the table that could make that not be 5%? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know, we have to look at it, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the town's been really good about budgeting tight, but we've also added
Yeah.
a lot of staff over the course,
Yeah.
throughout all the departments, right?
Mhm.
We've added staff. So are we staffed up and we're done? Because I didn't vote for any staff
A bunch of
increases
them.
last year,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Because of that reason. So there's things that I think when we get to budgets, we're not going to get to a place where we're like going to be able to cut a budget and say, okay, we don't need an override. That's not realistic. But we also need to be able to go to the town and say, hey, listen, you know, we're as tight as we can get on these budgets. And
Yeah.
I think that means that does mean that one of our, I think, you know, we can talk about this. Our point of view as a FinCom is the departments need to start at zero and build back up. We need to, you know, do you need every single person, every single piece of paper? Do you need, and if you do, that's great. Just come here and explain it. But we need to, you know, we need to justify every number on the budgets, I think, because if we're going to try to get an override passed, and by we, I mean some override committee that's not us,
Yep.
that's what you need to be. I mean, when we passed the override 20 years ago, we did it because we had a list of everything that had already been cut on the town and the school side, and we could honestly say we've scrubbed these budgets. There is nowhere else to go. I mean, we've gotten, you know, there's not an extra paper clip, there's not an extra pencil. And I think that's what we need to be able to do as a FinCom. We need to make sure that, you know, and I'm not saying that they haven't done that. We also have to remember we're getting some portion of dispatch back this year,
No,
right? This year? 25%?
in 27.
Yeah, not this year, in 27.
27, that's what I mean. So
Right,
this is for 27.
Right.
So we're getting some portion of dispatch back. And so I think that's what we have to do, because that's what people expect from the school. And I feel like
Right.
people aren't really happy with what they've heard from the school, but I think on the town side, we all need to work together to make sure that people are hearing, and we're starting at zero and working way back up.
Yeah, because it's obviously a lot easier to get an override passed when you've done that and show people it's like financially necessary, not, hey, we kind of want this because
Right, this would be a nice cushion
it's
to
a,
have.
it's a nice
It
to
needs-
have, like we
yes.
need it.
We said yes to everything, so now we need to raise the budget.
Right, so
Yeah, it's not
but
gonna
I mean,
fly.
I mean, I think we're off to a good start. We've
Yeah.
done that over the
Yep.
course of the
Yeah.
last number
Yeah.
of years. And, you know, I really just think that we're gonna have to look at where do we, in the fall before budgeting, where do we wanna look, you know, do we wanna add any more personnel this year? I think that we need to say, maybe we take a pause.
Yeah.
Right? Fire doesn't need to add anyone else. They've been adding a firefighter a year
Yeah.
for 4 years. That's the kind of stuff that I think that if we really look at and we put out there, maybe we get closer to this year's number, you know, because, I mean, that's the whole, we have the cushion, but this year with
Yeah.
the school override could be substantial.
Yeah, and there's also
And
a
that's
lot
going
of
to be tough to take.
But also bear in mind, a lot of the stuff this year that would increase the budget were things like pensions and healthcare, and
Well,
I know
and
they
that's
go
the
with
problem.
people, but I mean, but it's still they're increasing faster than the people are actually increasing as well because of
Absolutely.
other factors.
And
So-
that's one of the problems with every time we add an hour, we add to pension. So we've
Yeah.
gotten ourselves into this position because for, you know, we had the money for a lot of years, we had all this cushion, so we would add positions, and now we have a pension that we have to contend with that is
Yeah.
one of the fastest growing budget items.
yeah.
You know, I think the town's done a really good job with the insurance, the $1,200 or $2,400, whatever it is, saving money on insurance. That's awesome. But, you know, we need to look at other ways to, where else can we save? So particularly $500,000, not a lot of money going back into free cash.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to be continued. I think we need to come back to it next time and continue work on the model. And you know, we are working with the school committee to figure out what their strategic plan is as well.
So will they have that done?
But they have some numbers now, but now they're going through. This is another topic later on. But they've hired a consultancy company. They want to meet with heads of FinCom for Acton and Boxborough, and I've asked John to join as well to what they would like a briefing on what they're doing with this strategic plan for the school system. So that'll be next, in 2 weeks' time, I think we're meeting with them.
Okay.
This early start that Tony's shown you, he showed it to me, I think, in the last week.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. He asked me what I thought. I think it's a good starting point, and especially don't want to get in the place that some towns have put themselves in, where you're going back in 2 or 3 years. That's really hard for voters to take.
Yeah.
If they go for it the first time, they may not go for it the second time. So you gotta, not that you want to over ask, but you gotta plan strategically for something that's gonna last for, a sufficient amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thought Tony's put into it.
Yeah.
And which makes sense, but that's what Acton did 2 years ago. And I think they may need to, don't sit on that committee, but my understanding is they're running low on what they thought was gonna be a cushion for 3 or 4 years or 5 years. So, that's where, it's gonna get tough. They only won by 34 votes last time,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I don't know if 10 years is the right number, but 2 or 3 or 4, I think certainly isn't.
No, it's gotta
Because
be,
one blip on the radar and it blows your plan that you thought was gonna get you to 4 years.
right.
No, I
And what we
agree.
need to think about is things like dispatch is gonna be 100% in that
Right.
4-year period. So that's adding
Yep.
400,000 back into our budget that we all knew about, and it was a good idea, and we've saved a significant amount of
Right.
money.
And we gotta remind people when that does come back on, that
Exactly.
it was $3.8 million
In savings.
savings. And so when a couple 100,000 comes back on, we still have already pocketed that savings.
Exactly, so, but that's really important to remember, because that's a big nut, $400,000 on our budget,
Yeah.
so.
I think
Tony, I don't know how much you want to get into the weeds on this, but can you bring that diagram up again?
Sure.
And this is I assume on the share, right?
Yeah.
Can you bring the spreadsheet up?
Yeah, there you go.
Maria just touched on this briefly. So the row 5, does that match up with our current fiscal years, like fiscal year 25 and 26?
They're not quite the same actually, because there's also a debt exclusion override to be factored into that, which I didn't include in this because I couldn't make the model work. It's too complicated basically. So our cushion is actually bigger than that because of the debt exclusion override right now.
Okay. All right. So we'll need to.
Do you know what that is?
It's about $500,000, I think.
Do we know what it's for? It's gotta be,
Whatever we've
we
taken
paid the
debts
library,
out.
so it's gotta be the school,
I think it would be school.
There's a-
right? Because the
Yeah.
library's paid,
Well,
we didn't take debt on DPW, if we did it.
we do have a
was-
debt exclusion override in our calculation.
so
I'm
it's
not
gotta
sure where it
be-
came from.
It's gotta be the school,
So
and
I'm
that's
aware of.
gotta be ready to fall off at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I didn't model it in here, because
Yeah.
I can't predict what it's going to be in future years.
Right.
Easily.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So next topic is the town assessor function. So just to bring everyone up to speed on this, the reason we're discussing this is that at annual town meeting there were some questions asked about the overlay reserve fund and the size of it, and the money that had been assigned or appropriated for cyclical revaluations, and whether that was too much. So we've had conversations with the town assessor at a previous FinCom meeting. We've still got outstanding questions on that. So I've actually, I'm on the agenda for the select board meeting on July 28th to go and talk about some of the suggestions that we talked about in the previous meeting. So I've got a PowerPoint to actually talk about that. But I mean, the bottom line is that what we're talking about here is not this is about the assessor function, and it's not about any personnel issues that may be going on right now in terms of the actual town assessor. So I'll get into that in a minute in terms of the PowerPoint that I put together for the select board, which I'd like input on. But having said that, I'll just get Mike to give a quick update on where we are with the town assessor.
As far as, I mean,
Well,
I don't have any.
last time we spoke, you said that she was off sick.
Right, so she's still not in the office, but we are looking to bring on an interim assessor to get us, until we're back on track.
Okay. So, one thing. So this is what I'm proposing to talk to the select board about. So the issue, we have two issues here. One is the appropriations for revaluation, and the second one is the overlay reserve issue. There's some potential ways we can address in the future how we improve our process here. One is a proposal for a board of assessors, and the other is updating our financial policies. And I think there's still some outstanding questions that we have as well that we haven't got answered yet. But I think they'll over the fullness of time, we'll get answers to those. So the background on this is that the revaluation money, we currently appropriate $30,000 a year by warrant article. That's been a very consistent. It's actually, I think, on the capital plan even item that we pay by warrant article. And what's happened is we've actually not spent that money, so we have an excess now of $120,000 in the coffers. So we've actually taken that money, we've taxed on it, and we're not actually using it. So that's not ideal. So the potential ways we can actually address that, we could pause funding that for in the next budget, so don't have another warrant article. We can switch this to being an operational budget item, which would mean we budget for what we need, and if that money is not used in the year, it flows back into free cash. So I think that's also worth thinking about. And we could, I think, have a warrant article in a future town meeting or special town meeting to actually reclaim some of those funds to free cash, and leaving only what we need for the current year. So that's what those are I think the options. And also I think we need to update our financial policy because it's really silent on how we manage that right now. So the backup data for that is this. Here's what we've actually raised each year, which is the top line there, and what we've actually used each year, and what we're left with for a balance. So we've got $120,000 there basically for.
We raised $60,000 in FY24.
There were 2 town meetings, I think, in that year. There's a special town meeting as well.
Okay.
A full town meeting.
There was a fall town meeting.
Yeah.
That's when you came in, right, Mike?
Which year?
FY24
24.
would have
Yes.
been, that would have been November.
November of 22 is when I came.
23.
I don't remember us putting
I've
30,000
got a
twice,
backup
though.
date on this, so maybe
Yeah.
I think that's correct. I mean that's what we've had.
So Tony, the two proposals, what, we would just spend down what we have over the next few years and not have a warrant article? Is that how it would work? To raise and appropriate
I
more
wonder
money?
whether we should go for a warrant article to claw back 100,000 or something.
Yep.
So I think we need to get a handle on it before, at a minimum, I don't think we should put there should be no $30,000 warrant.
That's a definite, yeah.
Right, for
Yeah,
this year. But I think that we can't claw it back until we understand better how it's been used, how we need to use it, because we also got to be careful about falling off of the DOR assessment plan that they have, right? Which we need a better explanation of as well. So I think we don't need to do any of those things right now, but I do think once we have a better understanding of that, and maybe the assessors in the chair gives us a better understanding, then we decide how we're going to handle that with respect to calling it back.
Yes.
Certainly, there should be. I think we pause the 30,000.
Clawing it back is the most extreme option. I think pausing it is a no-brainer. Making it an operational budget item in the future, I think to me makes more sense actually. But I mean, I could be swayed either way on that. But I think with an assessor in place who had a dialogue with DOR and said, there are reasons why we need it to be a warrant article or whatever, we could buy into that, I think, that idea.
Yeah, I think that the conversation about whether you want to keep your operating budget consistent. So if
Yeah.
we do 30,000 this year and we don't do it next year, and then we have to do it the year after, you got this thing going, which is why
Yeah,
we do the warrant,
You
right?
do 15 every year.
And,
Yeah.
right, and at least, if for whatever reason we need to spend $120,000 on assessments, we have the money already, versus, oh my God, we need a reserve fund transfer. So if we get that
Yeah.
number to a more reasonable reserve,
Yeah.
and we're using it consistently, I think that's all stuff that we're not gonna be able to know until we get,
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
So you
But-
kind of keep that as your bank, use it for a couple of years,
Yeah.
see what the average is,
Yeah.
also work with the new assessor and the board to determine what the best.
But I'm sort of not liking having money in the bank, as it were.
I don't
because-
disagree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot, yeah, it's not like 20 or 30K.
Yeah.
It's like.
But
but I, but I
100K,
think
yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
it's,
a lot.
you know, I mean, I also think we have to be careful because
Do we know
we
what
don't
that?
like the money in the bank and we don't like to tax people for it, but we're not assessors, so we really need to fully understand and
Yeah.
grasp
Yeah.
what the DOR
And-
needs us to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's already been
when we
Given
end up,
our,
go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
given our history, I think we need to be a little bit conservative on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the stuff is already taxed, so,
Yeah.
you know, whatever changes we make is gonna be going forward. We have enough that we can take a minute
Yeah.
and make a change that makes sense with all the information from the financial team and us and
Yeah,
maybe a board of
there's
assessors.
no urgency on this, actually.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
we have
Yeah.
the money.
No, it's
We're
good to have a
covered.
forward-looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about, I'm thinking about when we get into the budget cycle for FY '27.
Yep. No,
Definitely.
agreed.
And by then, we should be able to get some answers.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I would hope
helped
so.
us to understand, helps Mike to understand as he puts
Yeah.
forward the warrants from town hall.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that a $30,000 warrant this year would take some convincing. There, you know, more so than in the past.
Yeah.
It made sense in the past, but
Yeah.
now we need,
Yeah.
I'd need to be reconvinced as to why we need to do it again without spending this down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one thing I did pull from that presentation about a month ago is it sounds like there's a lot of compliance rules that
Yes.
honestly
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right, yeah.
But
Understood,
like
yeah.
that we definitely need to meet or it's not a good thing.
Yeah, we have to understand
So,
it all.
I think once we have that clearer picture, that'll tell us where that number maybe more
Right.
should land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other issue is the overlay reserve. So this is a fund which is used for funding of abatements, real estate abatements. So currently $1.5 million roughly. We on average use about 242,000.
An average of how many years? Do we
5
know?
years.
5 years, that's a
Yeah.
5-year average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is more interesting because this is purely determined at the choice of the assessor or board of assessors.
Like
What
to
is-
grant an abatement?
No.
what's taken to reserve.
Oh, okay.
We don't vote on that. It's just taken, right?
Oh, okay.
So we have no say in how much is taken, but we have, I think, an opinion about it. And an assessor board can actually vote to send money back to free cash if it's
Okay.
a surplus, if there's going to be a surplus. But that requires the board of assessors to actually vote to do that. So the background to this is, if you look at what the town expects, and this statement down here is what is from their website, they're saying that they expect it to be between 0.8 and 1%, which has been for the last 5 years for the average town. And in fact, I did a calculation. All towns, the average for 5 years is 0.85%, and our average in Boxborough is 1.86%. So we're way out of whack in terms of the state average.
We are, I do want to keep in mind 21 and 22, particularly after COVID hit, it started before COVID, but particularly after COVID, all of a sudden, all our great office parks were empty. And that's when, so there was, whether or not that should have continued.
So it's 21,
You
it's
know.
863, right? So that was the big year.
Right, that was the big year. And that was the majority of our office parks came back that year. So we definitely had, what we need to have is a better understanding of what the abatements are that's kind of in the pipeline
Right.
going forward.
Tony,
But
can you go back to the last slide?
Yeah.
Where is it DLS that's saying the 0.8 to 1%? Or is
Yeah.
that? where's
That's
that-
the DLS data, yeah. They're saying that.
So experience that we're talking to is telling us it should be 1.5 to 2%.
and you're talking
that's-
Department of Revenue.
No, this
You're
is talking to assessors with over 30 years experience.
Oh, really?
Because we've been interviewing them this week
Yeah.
to bring on an interim, and we want to bring on an interim who can cover us during this gap. Who's
Yeah.
got lots of experience. The folks we've spoken with have worked in multiple communities. Some of them, fairly good-sized communities, large towns.
Yeah.
And a number of them have also additionally served on boards of assessors, one of them as the chief or as the chair of the Board of Assessors. And the multiple opinions we're getting is that you should be 1.5% to 2%, but there is no concrete number. It depends. That's a gauge. So I think that gauge that DLS is giving is low, at least based on the extensive experience that Hunghwa, Rajan, and I are talking to in interviews. Additionally, what they've said is you really got to look at what you've got going on in your town.
Right.
Now, today I was on the phone with our council that represents us at Appellate Tax Board hearings, and we were discussing two upcoming. One that's we have there's a hearing tomorrow, and then one that won't be until September. And I asked him, I said, and this is, I've spoken to this attorney before, but this is way out of my league. I'm not an
Yeah.
assessor. But in the interim, we're what you've got until we can get an experienced assessor here to help us out. And I said, could you help us to know what we should have in the overlay and help us look at our liabilities? And so he's going to do that.
Okay.
Along with whoever we bring on, and we think it's going to be in pretty short order that we bring in an interim. But I just wanted to point out that experience is counseling us that's a low number. It should be.
But that is the actual number. I mean, that's the number from the data that's on the DLS website.
Right.
But they're just saying that is the average. They're not saying it's a guidance.
But
the
keep in
average
mind-
across all towns has been 0.8 to 1, but they're
Yeah.
not saying you should be in there. It's sort of
Well-
just
Yeah,
a
right.
data point.
Keep in mind that this is one of those numbers that the assessor has control over, but if there's not a DOR number, minimum, right? And you're in a town and you need to cut $100,000 out of your budget, you might be saying to the assessor, do you really need all that money in the overlay?
Yeah.
Because this is budgeted, not budget control that we have.
Yeah.
But, so we don't, that's one of the things, people do this with OPEB too. You'd be surprised how many people don't put the right amount of money into OPEB, because when you gotta cut a budget, we're putting 300,000 in, and we're a small town. There's bigger towns that are doing like 100,000 this year because we don't have the money. So it would be interesting to see, really what that number translates to in real life. Like, what do you, what your, to individual towns. So
Yeah.
that this may be one of those places that we're budgeting high, but other towns could be looking to try to trim their budgets a little bit in its time over the
Right.
last few years.
Yeah.
Another thing in speaking to these candidates this week that we heard as we were kind of drilling down on this is, for a small town, you've got a lot of large commercial and industrial. And it looks like they may be coming in for large abatements. And that's the conversation I had with our ATB council today.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, you do. You have two big commercial enterprises in your little town that are looking for big abatements. And, and they're defending us on this.
Yeah.
Whether there's a settlement or we take it to court and,
Right.
we see how that goes. But I think that's a factor, and I can't put a number on that, but that's something that we want to keep in the back of our mind. That
Yeah.
we've got, a lot of medical and R&D in town, and some of them don't have a lot of occupancy in them. If you think about, right up the street here, as well as, over across 495, and they're looking for big abatements. And I think that's part of the challenge here in Boxborough.
Actually, that would be part of when we talked at BLF about getting a tri-board together, right? FinCom, Select Board, and Planning Board. And the school committee wanted to be part of that, to say, okay, here's where we are, this is what we're looking at with our levy overlay, we need an override, whatever, and what do we all need to do? And part of it is, if we've got buildings that can't be filled, then maybe we need to take a hard look, not by we, because it's not our purview, but the planning board, if they have proposals in front of them, maybe that's where we need to start enticing businesses by changing some of our zoning to bring businesses into our existing buildings. Let me make that existing buildings. I'm not looking to put up another big building in town, because I know how that goes over. But, we have existing empty buildings. That's what happened in FY21. That we do not want to see that happen again in FY27. Because it's not just about the overlay, then it becomes about our tax base. For every, the assessor, 2 assessors ago, or 1 assessor ago, had a great chart. For every percentage of commercial property taxes we lose, how much gets shifted to the residential. And it's not a 1-for-1 thing.
Yeah.
So it's, something really to think about. That this is good information to have if we do manage to get together a tri-board meeting.
And I will say that before I came to town here, I had seen what had happened to the town with those large commercial abatements back then. And I think the assessor that's been here for 3 years has done a really good job on taking these things to ATB and either settling them or getting a decision our way. And I think that's been a win for the town if you look at the numbers compared to what happened in FY21.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So again, it's not an urgent issue. I mean, the reserve's already there, and it looks like it covers most eventualities, I would say, that can happen. But I would still question that in the longer term to say, well, unless we can see something coming down the pike towards us that's a big abatement, we should rethink this, I think. But
So,
we need an assessment place to do that.
I just had a quick question. Like, obviously, FY21 seems to be a bit of an outlier, obviously, or we would hope, right? That the abatement of 800,000. What if we didn't have enough money in there? So what happens?
So what happens?
If we didn't have enough money to, like, right? Because I want to make sure I'm understanding. It's like currently for the overlay reserve we have $1.5 million. What if we had, like, I don't know, 200K in there, and we get 300K worth of abatements? Like, where does that extra 100K come from?
That's a good question. Where does it come from?
It's got to come out of an operating budget because you can't increase taxes mid-year.
Yeah, we got to pull it from somewhere. And say one comes overnight, like all of a sudden we lose an ATB case, and it's 200,000, and we got 100,000 in there. Yeah, it's got to be there, and that's why DLR wants to make sure that your liabilities are covered.
And I think, Tony, if you go FY19 and 20, you'll see higher numbers as well.
Like in the 400 or 500 range?
Yeah, because when I was on the select board pre-COVID, we had, and I remember this distinctly, we had an executive session with the FinCom, the select board, the town assessor, and the town administrator.
Yeah.
And there was a list of stuff going, because, this stuff really can't be discussed publicly, right, in detail. There was a list going, and I was probably chair in FY20, because it was right when COVID hit. So I think that's something that, I think if we went back, we would see it ramp up to the 800. It wasn't like 110 the year before. It ramped up to the 800.
So I mean, to partly answer your question, John, there's this form called the OL1 that the assessor fills out every year. It goes to DOR, and it lists out all of the potential abatements that are in the hopper.
Okay.
And then how much is in the overlay reserve, and is it enough to cover that? So I think that prevents the situation you're talking about, and I don't think you'd probably get something completely out of the blue that would happen like that.
Right.
I think the question about the OL1 is the OL1 also lists real estate uncollected taxes as a liability.
Oh, okay.
So,
Just further
and
putting that
as we've seen on the dashboard, that number goes up and down every quarter. And really, it's not a liability because they're getting paid.
Almost all get paid, yeah.
So you could be very conservative and say, okay, then let's make that a liability and add it onto the number, and then you get to like, well, the number's now $1 million that we've got, or something like that. And I don't think that's really a real number. The question is, when the DOI says you need to have enough to cover anticipated liabilities, do they mean just the abatements and ATB cases,
right?
Or do they mean everything possible?
Everything in town, yeah.
And that again is sort of a question, I think, for an experienced assessor to actually advise us on, because I don't know the answer to that.
Agreed.
Yeah, because I'm sure if you took like a 20-year rolling average of abatements, I'm sure it would be probably closer to 150. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
This is big.
I'm sure that COVID is just
our 5-year average is going to change next year because that 863 washes out.
But you have to understand, we have buildings that are not occupied,
and they're going to be coming every year.
There's going to be abatements until we can get people in those buildings, and no matter how hard the Economic Development Committee works, they can only do so much because they're zoned a certain way, and until we have to work as a town to bring people into these buildings, right?
Yep.
To get business development. And we haven't been very good about that. No matter how much we say we want to be, We're just not all on the same team when it comes to that. And we
Right.
need to get those buildings occupied.
Yeah.
Isn't
Okay.
there sort of a higher risk of abatements when taxes kind of spike too? Because people, their tax bill raises more, they might be more likely to seek an abatement if the share of their tax goes up.
It's not, when you abate a commercial building, when you rent a commercial building, the taxes are based on, if it's less than 50% owner occupied, it's based on your rental, right? So your house, doesn't matter if you live there or not, you pay taxes, full boat, whatever that house has got the value on. With the commercial buildings, it's not that way. And with the commercial buildings in Massachusetts, if you're 51% owner occupied, then it is based on value of the building and the land, like everybody else. But if you're less than that, it's based on your income that you bring in. So if you have a building that is 3/4 empty, but you're being, you had it full boat, and then you lost 3/4 of your tenants for whatever reason, that's when you go for your abatement. And that's based on,
Gotcha.
that's not based on the value of the land. The land could be worth $10 million, but if you're only getting $100,000 in income, that's what the abatement's based on.
And with those ones that are less than 50% occupied, then you get into, is there equipment in it or not?
Right.
And we're into some of that as well. Okay, so you're only at 25%, and we had one that was reporting they don't have any of the old equipment in there. And we just sent one of the consultants that's paid through the assessor's department to go in there. It was already scheduled. It's not something we did, and they went in and just reported back to us today that there was equipment in there from the prior tenant that is of value that we need to tax on,
Right.
and that gives a stronger case to us as far as fighting
Yeah.
their abatement. And that's, but we know. Now we verify that it's there.
Yeah.
Now we get to send one of our other consultants in there to go in there piece by piece and calculate the value to fight back at what they're saying. No, it's not there. It's not this value. So it's a little complex.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking
At least
mostly
for
of the
Makes
51% and more owner occupied, and even, people with $1 million houses, if their taxes are going to raise a lot more than they're expecting to because of the fire station and the override and all these other things, and inflation and all those other things, and then they see their tax bill go up, they might say,
They're more-
well, you assess my house
but
at
it's
what?
based on value.
But yeah, they can ask, right? But I mean,
Right.
if it's based on value, they're not going to get. I mean, that's a pretty.
So the people in condos in town, kind of freaked out the first year we were fully built out on Enclave and occupied, right? Those went for $1 million. So people are buying condos in town. They're not, mostly over 55. $500,000. The ones on Swanson Road are a couple $100,000. Used to be able to pick up one of those for $100,000. So all of a sudden their values went up, and that's because they had $1 million, $1.2 million in sales for the Enclave.
Yeah, but I mean, can't they push back on the amount that it's been raised? Isn't that also an abatement? Like,
As
I
long as
disagree
it's-
that the assessor raised my house value to this. I'm not paying that. I don't
It's
believe
all,
it.
the assessor doesn't just raise it, it's all based on
market value, right?
comps and
Yeah,
market value.
yeah.
So that's part of the reason people are so
Yeah.
tense about their taxes, is because, we raise the taxes, but the values on all these houses are going up. My house is worth an obscene amount of money. I like my house, it's a very nice home, but I'm like appalled at the value of it when I put it down on paper. It's ridiculous. So, it's because we live in this town and, houses turn over. Kristen could give you a whole lecture on how quick things turn over, and, so they can go for the abatement, but it doesn't mean they're gonna get it, because the abatement, the assessor, and she has always been very good about this, it's all based on comps, and it's all based on sales, and it's all based on, whatever in the last year. So it's a formula that's very hard,
Yeah.
So this will continue then, this conversation, I think, until we resolve things. So the next thing is really this proposal that I'll make, if you're in agreement, to the select board. I've changed this a slightly bit from what I sent out previously. This is actually text I took from the DOR website, which says what is the role of the assessor. And the assumption is actually that there is a board of assessors in every town. I mean, that's like the default, I think, that they have. And it's interesting, we went back and looked, and Mike got some minutes from the town, I guess the special town meeting in 1985,
Right.
when the board of assessors was actually abolished in Boxborough, and what was going on at that time. And I think it was interesting, just the history, because this is 1985. And I was looking back at the population of Boxborough, which actually, from 1960 to 1970, in 10 years, doubled from 750 to 1,500. From 70 to 80, it doubled again to 3,000. So you've got a situation where you've got, population now of 3,500, whatever, in town, and a volunteer board of assessors doing all the assessing stuff, evenings and free time. And it's talking about getting a computer to try and help, but computers in 1985 were pretty basic. So I think they just got swamped with the workload of a growing town, and threw up their hands and said, okay, we need to get an assessor. But what they didn't keep the board of assessors, they just got an assessor and replaced the board with a single person. And whereas other towns, I think, kept the board of assessors and had an assessor as well. So that's why I think every other town that I've looked at has got a board of assessors
And an assessor.
It's interesting because as we were speaking with candidates this week for, as far as bringing in an interim, we asked them to, describe themselves to us. We had their resumes and tell us a little bit about stuff. And then we told them about us as a town and the history starting back from 1985. And a couple of them said, you missed the ball. Because you went from, you brought on a professional assessor, that's what most towns did, but you missed it when you abolished your board. You really need both. And they were surprised. They said Boxborough is really, there are other towns, but we're really an outlier, not having both professional staff and a board. And the gentleman we were speaking to today said, in his opinion, of 30 years plus experience, 3 is probably the right number. You can have a board of 5, 7, 9, 11, whatever you want, but 3 is probably the right number. Whereas, a finance committee, you want a little bit larger committee. Generally, they're 5, 7, or 9 because you want more diverse input. And select board, 3 would be an outlier. 5 is more generally accepted because you're developing policy. Whereas this gentleman was saying 3 is the right number for a board of assessors. If you're looking at the numbers, and there's no creativity there. You're looking at the numbers, and you vote on whether to grant that abatement or not. And it made a lot of sense. And I've only worked in towns where there's been a 3-member board. This is the first place I've been where there hasn't been a board, but I've never seen larger than a 3-member board.
So I think how that board is composed. I think it's up to the select board, but I think from at least from my point of view, and I'll take discussion on this, is that I think we should.
What meeting is it?
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Oh, that's on a Zoom, right? Hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. We're the finance committee.
That's what I've been doing.
No, that's all right. Hold on a second. Let me just.
Finance committee here.
I was like, there's no way they need this kind of spreadsheets for that meeting.
While you're looking for that, I'm going to text Alan for them.
Thank you. I'm sorry to bother you all.
So,
is there any objection to me going to the select board, I guess, with this proposal?
I support it.
Yeah, definitely go for it.
I'm fine with it. Susan, can you tell him it's only on Zoom? I'm sorry. I would walk, but that's a lot of effort for me right now. I'm fine with you going and saying that this is FinCom is hoping that they'll do. Right, because all we can do is suggest it to them. And have them.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we'll respectfully suggest it.
Yes. There we go. Respectfully suggested. I like it.
Okay. And then in a similar vein, I think, I would have shown this to you last week. This is just suggestions for updates to the financial policies. So again, I want to sort of pass this to Select Board for their comments on it. We've seen this, but I'll take any comments on this. So the first one is the overlay reserve fund policy. So just some more verbiage around. We said this is what we said originally, which is a very small amount of money, very small amount of text, and this is a bit more detail around that. But again, this may need to wait until we get an assessor on board and get advice from that person.
Yeah, I agree.
And similarly, some new language for the revaluation policy, whether we decide to move this into as an operating budget item. But I think we certainly ought to be looking at this in terms of what's already in the coffers.
Okay, so I will say I know we don't have to write this tonight. We need to be careful when we talk about policy and whether it's if we set a policy with the select board and we both vote it, and we say we're gonna take it from a warrant article to an operating budget, and then 2 years later, we're like, what were we thinking? That was a really bad idea. We have to go back to the select board and we have to revote it, because that's more of a procedural thing. So we just have to word it in a way that does not tie us to one or the other.
Well, this one, this says either operating budget or a warrant article.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure that doesn't
Yeah.
get, that word either.
Yeah,
I could definitely see the select board saying, well, let's just pick one.
yeah.
So.
And at the
I mean, I think what's important here,
Right, exactly.
what's
So-
important is that we say we're committed to funding these.
Right. So we just need to make sure that word either does not get taken out.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
Hongwa's laughing at me, but she knows I'm right.
Yeah, but I'll share this with the select board so we can move on that. And then I think we still need to get to the bottom of where were these funds used in the last 5 years. We have a bunch of vendors listed, but I don't know what the deliverables were from those. So we need purchase order details and stuff like that. And where do we stand with inspections and evaluations? I mean, we're told we're up to date, but we have no validation of that. So we need some, at some point.
What I'd like to know is, once we kind of get settled, is I want an explanation of what this 10-year thing is. Like, there's a 10-year thing, right? And we need to do it, and then 5 years in, we're all caught up, but then we got to keep doing it, and then in 10 years we have to, and I don't know what that means, because it sounds to me like in 5 years we have to reevaluate everybody. Okay, we've done that, and now but it's a 10-year process, and we're now in the second 5 years. I just want to have a better understanding of how all that works.
I thought we were certified every 5 years.
Certified every.
Had to have inspected every house within 10 years.
That's what I want to understand. I want to make sure
Yeah.
that that's the understanding, because there's a lot of verbiage that goes, but because that all goes back to dollars, like how much we're funding for
these.
these.
Risk, because if we're not certified, we can't raise taxes.
Right, right. So there's like, so I like
The
that.
folks we've been talking to this week,
Yeah.
we're learning a lot from them,
Yeah.
and that's what we want to do. And they talked a lot about this. And it's either in 28 or 29 that we're up for a big revaluation year. We'll find out more, and I think when we bring on the interim, we'll be able to bring back a little more explanation for you.
Good, thank you.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'll share with Select Board and have some discussion. We'll see where we go with that. So ongoing issue. Okay. Next, ClearGov.
Hongwa's going to leave now. She's like, I got to go close the books. I'm out.
She's leaving, I'm with
So Hongwa and Mike and I had a very productive conversation last week. So what's going to happen going forward is that Hongwa is going to, during the budget cycle, she will take a download from ClearGov and produce a budget in Excel to present to us. And it will be more or less what I showed you last time, that version I showed last time. But we can add other views on that. Whatever you want, basically, we can get, because we can do pivot tables and we can do any view you want. So
last time we had it was a single page per department.
well, it's a single page which you can just change the tab. You can select a cost code. So that tab's, you at the top of this page, you clicked on 250 or whatever, and it gives you all the 250 stuff. So
Yeah, that's what I mean, but
same thing.
each page,
Yeah.
with a summary, a roll-up summary.
And a roll-up summary, yeah. So, and we can talk about that as we go in the budget cycle about what we really want, finally, but that's how it'll work. So the FinCom do not ever need to actually look at ClearGov if they don't want to.
Right, and then.
But we have access to it, of course. I mean,
Yeah, I have no need to look at that.
I love looking at it.
I know you do, and I don't understand it. He's on it now. It's like, and he goes in and he plays with all the data and
We
he
need to
sorts
get
it all different ways.
we need to get Michelle on ClearGov, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, I have no clue what you guys are talking
Yeah, yeah.
about.
ClearGov
It's the
is-
budgeting.
I'm
That's
thinking it's
okay,
like
because
just a
I'm on
budgeting
ClearGov.
software.
and I have no
ClearGov
clue.
is a software for municipal finance reporting.
And budgeting.
Budgeting, basically.
Okay.
So it's a way in which all the information is put into ClearGov from all the departments in the town, and you can spit out a report or a download, which you can then put into
Got
Excel
it,
spreadsheets and do pivot tables or whatever.
So not everyone's doing their budgeting in an Excel spreadsheet then?
No, it's not. It's actually I'm actually a supporter of ClearGov, actually. I mean, there's a lot of people who think I'm not.
No, that's not true. I'm a supporter of ClearGov. What I'm not a supporter of is, it is, all the information going in is great, works for you guys, and it needs to. But for the budget stuff, what comes out and what we look at is what I have a problem with, because it was way too much manual manipulation by you, right? So that's a problem, because, you know, God forbid you need to take a little 3-month hiatus as chair, we can't budget.
Right.
But we used to get Excel spreadsheets for each department, and we would have a breakdown. So you could go to the police department and look at just their budget, much easier, in a much more organized way. And so when ClearGov this year didn't allow that, I think Tony did his best, and I think that Joe can, you know, figure it all out. But just for budgeting ease, it needs to be easier to read.
We
So
were a
Hong
little
Kong will
bit
produce
like
the
their-
Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, we were a little bit like their beta testers too, with some of that stuff, with all the work Tony was having to do.
Yeah.
Like, make it work.
It was not fully, ClearGov
was not fully
it's still
baked.
not fully baked, actually.
Yeah.
They're still doing updates and
Right.
stuff. On it.
So I think from the town perspective, it was great for the administration, because then the other problem we had is we had this spreadsheet that would go back and forth between FinCom and the town administration, and that didn't work because it was never locked, right? So numbers could get changed, and it was really cumbersome. So ClearGov's a great way to streamline everything. We just need the data to be spit out at us in a way that we can understand the budget numbers. And I think that last year we didn't have that as much. And you were at town meeting, right? So that
Yes,
little
I was.
kerfuffle with the planning board?
Yeah.
That was all about, I swear that was because of a little bit of chaos with ClearGov, because we didn't have the history, and it was just, this will make it easier.
Okay. Sounds like
So Hong Kong, how do we get Michelle on ClearGov? Do you get a login for her?
I'll set that up.
Yeah. You'll enjoy
And you
it.
can go play
I'll
with it.
take a look.
Yeah, you'll enjoy it.
There's a lot of different budgets.
Tony, if you could send Hung Hua Michelle's email address, if you don't already have it, and then she can get you all set up.
Yeah. Okay. So next topic is organisation.
Okay, hold on, can they leave, because I'm
Oh,
going to close the
go,
books.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
3 hours and
Thanks,
Good luck.
2
Good luck
minutes,
closing
but
the
who's
books.
counting?
We're all cheering for you.
Thank you.
It's like one of those cooking shows, like you have 3 hours starting right now.
Find some more cash, Hung Wong.
I think John
by
said
us,
you
he
can
means the
raise
town, not
taxes.
us.
That's what I heard.
Good night.
No.
Yeah, John's house isn't occupied and he's in the basement.
Okay.
So first topic is we need to elect a chair and vice chair for the FinCom. Are there any nominations?
Are there any nominations? I'll nominate Tony.
Second?
Excellent.
Any other nominations?
John?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm happy to do another year as chair. How about vice chair?
Oh, wait, you need to take a vote.
Oh, do we need to vote?
I
Okay.
nominated, he seconded, you need to take a vote.
Okay, just roll call vote then. John Connor,
Aye.
John Grieven,
Aye.
Stolpin,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Maria?
Aye.
I'll say aye as well.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter, you're outvoted either way, so.
Okay, nominations for vice chair. And I would nominate John Connor.
Seconded.
Okay, so John, you know that 2-year stint and then the vice chair generally is the chair, correct?
Generally, yes.
So that's the whole point of being vice chair, sir. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a roll call vote. John Connor, how do you vote for the vice chair?
Abstain. No, aye.
John Grieven,
Aye.
Joe Stolpin,
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so next topic is the committee assignments. So,
There's a lot of Neville's up there.
yeah.
There's a lot of Neville's up there. I went through this tonight and I almost started crying because
I
there's like
know.
5 things that like, we need to go to these meetings, like, it's
Yeah.
not just that Becky did for us.
So the color
Now,
code.
remember, she said she would take on some of these when she left.
She did.
Yeah. So-
And they're all important committees too.
Yeah, so the colour
I'll
code
do it.
is, we sort of roughly did this in order of importance. So the green ones are the voting ones, which are most critical. And then the pink ones are critical, but they're liaisons. And blue and yellow are a little bit less critical. And at the bottom here, we've got those which are white, which are, I think, very optional.
So, and I have some meeting information on these, if you guys want, like, before you commit to something.
Sure, yeah.
And everyone's going to be committing tonight, so be ready.
Okay, so the first one is the Affordable Housing Trust, which was Neville.
Yes, it was Neville, and those meetings are as needed on Zoom for the most part, not always, but the vast majority of them are on Zoom. And the Affordable Housing Trust, just quick overview, we have the Housing Board and the Affordable Housing Trust, which controls the money that we've gotten in on settlements for affordable housing. And the Housing Board is looking to sell 72 Stowe Road, whether we buy a first fire station or not. And so that there'll be another influx of cash. So there may be a few more meetings. Right now, they're as needed, not very often, because basically the Affordable Housing Trust has the money. It's actually controlled by the treasurer and investments. And then they vote on items that come to them that float up from the Housing Board. So the Housing Board just did some roofs because maintaining our affordable housing stock, making sure they're well maintained, makes sense to the Housing Board. So that's the kind of stuff that they do. It is not a heavy lift in that you don't have, weekly meetings, but it is important because it is a voting position.
Are they regular days when there's meetings or times, or is
It's
it random?
literally when they need to vote on something, but I mean, there needs to be no less than 48 hours notice.
Right.
And honestly, I think it's probably, the Housing Board would vote. So let's say they need $20,000 to do X. Then, Les, who's currently the chair, would have to pull together a meeting. It's a week or two out. And it's on Zoom. Like I said, the majority of them are on Zoom.
What role do we serve? Like what
We're a voting member, so
We're a
because
voting
of the
member?
finding, yeah. So that does mean there's 3 people. There's a member of the Housing Board on it, the chair, there might be another citizen at large, and FinCom. Maybe it's, maybe it might be the select board, and Les may be the select board person that they appoint, and they're for them. But, you could vote against something. If something comes to the committee or to the trust, and then whatever it is, and you're like, okay, there's only $25,000 left, and we use this, we only have $5,000 left, so it's important, and we have a voice, and it's a vote, so.
How many roughly per month or per year? You think?
Yeah, I honestly don't even think it's a monthly thing. I'm not getting a text from my friend Becky, who I thought would be watching our meeting. I didn't get the impression it's a monthly thing. I think, probably 2 or 3 times a year kind of thing on Zoom.
Of all the voting liaisonships, I think that's the one I could probably handle the most. So I'd be happy to stick
Good
my neck
man.
out for that one. Yeah.
Excellent.
You on?
Okay.
Okay. The Building Committee, that's you, Maria.
Yeah, so you and me on the building committee, and then the fire station building committee's down underneath.
Yeah.
That's one and the same. So it's a Boxborough Fire Station Building Committee right now.
Oh, so it's only one thing then, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so are you happy to carry on with both of those?
I am happy to carry on with that because, yes, I think.
Is that one thing? Should we leave it listed separately for the moment? Just-
No, you can leave it up there, but I would take our names off because we don't actually have,
There's no building committee.
there's no building committee right now. We've talked about putting together a long-term building committee, but we don't have
Right,
one.
okay. And,
I just
okay.
got a text, Joe, it's 3 meetings a year.
Perfect.
So,
okay,
So-
Capital Committee, John, you and Gary are our members on that. Are you okay to carry on with that?
Sorry, the mute's killing me. Yes, I am happy to stay on that.
Great,
and do
okay.
you want to check with Gary to see if he wants to stay on it as well?
I better check, I suppose, yeah. Should I put him down for the time being and just check with him? I'll put
Is he
Kushner
not
and
on the capital committee separately? Was he? I know he always says he's on the capital committee. Was that just through FinCom, or is he an actual seat on?
Who, Gary?
Yeah.
You've got an actual seat, yeah.
So Gary started.
Yeah,
the
he's
cap-
good seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a seat because we appointed him last year. to be our representative. But Gary started the capital plan a number of years ago. The thing is just, I think it's unruly, it's ginormous, but he
knows it.
He understands it and he
Yeah.
knows it, so
Yeah.
I think we've always, now, that said, it is our committee, so if you want to get on it,
No,
but
I'm
it's
just,
a
I'm a little
bit of a
confused
heavier.
about like how Gary's sort of half
Oh.
foot in the,
Yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah,
committee,
yeah.
and, you know,
Just because he started this capital
organizationally,
plan
Yeah.
and
I
he
don't have a
just
problem with
knows it.
Just clarifying, yeah.
Community Preservation Committee then.
So CPC meets the first Thursday of the month at 7:30, mostly in person, sometimes by Zoom. This is a voting position. Becky's been doing this for years. She's been doing this for as long as I was on the committee with her. And it's an important one because the money and making sure our voice is heard at the committee level, plus we have to recommend it, so reporting back to us. So it really is a you need to be in attendance kind of meeting. Any takers?
Michelle, you could take that on?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you guys are comfortable with someone super green getting involved.
Yeah, and I'm sure you can get help from Becky, actually. I mean, if you want some advice and mentoring, I mean, I'm sure she'd be happy to chat
And the
with
whole
you.
committee has been there. You know, my husband's on it from AdCom. John Fallon is the chair. The whole committee's got, there's a lot of experience on the committee, and I'm sure they would love to take someone new and bring them in, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is Ron Vogel still chair of that?
Say again?
Is Ron Vogel still the chair?
John Fallon's the chair.
John Fallon's chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was last year. I assume he will be again this year. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure.
Okay. DPW. That was Joe and
Yeah, I never made it over there with Becky, but I'm happy to take the reins over.
now's your moment. Yeah.
They don't have meetings, so it's just sort of
They
staying
don't
in
have
touch
meetings.
with Ed, stopping by, being
It's
apprised
just-
to what they're doing. And
Yeah, I mean, the job here I think is to be the liaison, so you're basically the go-to person for Ed.
so I'm more so their point person than I'm
Yes.
checking in with them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
so you're going to check in with him and say, I'm your liaison.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you need me, call me. If not, let's set up a meeting around budget time.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
go and chat with them.
And then
during
you can be,
budget time.
be a bit more informed about what's going on. Why does he need a new truck or
Yeah.
whatever? Because you've had a chat with him in the background.
So it'll be a few meetings, but it will be during budget time and during the day if possible. And if not, I'm sure he'd happy to meet you at the end of the day or whatever.
Yeah. Are you still okay with fire? And,
Yeah, I'll do fire since I'm on the fire station committee.
Yeah. And how about police? Who should be police?
So police, I mean, that's not a heavy lift, but it's the same thing. Although I will say our police chief is diligent about talking to his FinCom rep about his budget and every warrant article and all of that. So, but again, it's, you know, not a ton of meetings. It would be a.
You can do it if you want.
You can?
You could?
Great.
Yeah.
Great, thanks. Okay, town government, that would be me, I think, and John, just by dint of our positions, right?
Yeah.
Personnel board, okay, that's Becky as well.
That's Becky. It's not a voting position. They meet at 5:30 on Tuesdays. I swear to God, I feel like they meet either this. They felt like during the spring when we met, they were meeting all the time because they're doing the personnel plan and stuff right before town meeting. 5:30 on Tuesdays, which makes it tough because then you got to come straight to this meeting. But that is an important one because it's tied into our finances pretty tight and understanding it. So.
Yeah, that time is. I would be interested in that. That time is a bummer because I work California hours, so I can't do that one.
Yeah, so that doesn't work for you.
And how often do they meet?
So I would say once a month right now, and then maybe once or twice a month, like in February and March, as they're trying to get it together for a town meeting. It really depends on what they're trying to get done. There's always the crunch right before it goes, the warrant goes to print. Once it goes to print, it's not so much. And that, and I will say, Becky did tell me the other day, they do expect the FinCom to report to them, like do a FinCom report at their meetings. I don't really know what we would report to them, but how's it going? We're budgeting, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, okay. So, but they really, It's a 5:30 that's a bummer. Because
Yeah.
then literally,
Yeah.
you've got to be here at 5:30
Yeah.
and stay till 7 and then be here until
Yeah.
9.
Yeah.
For me, it's like,
Yeah.
that's a bummer, 5:30
Yeah.
on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's my problem, is just I work late a lot.
Right.
yeah, yeah. No, I can't do it. I mean, it's too much for me.
Okay.
Okay, let's leave it for the moment. Let's pass on that one then for the moment. Planning board, Maria, you okay to carry on with that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
School committee, John and John.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay on that. Or John, if you,
Same.
yeah.
No, that's same. I think this year we need to tag team.
Yep, agreed.
So select board will be me, I think. Technology person, John, still,
Yes, I think I can handle that this year.
whatever that means. Economic development committee.
So that meets on the second Thursday of the month via Zoom. Becky was on that one. I think that's important, but not necessarily every meeting, but I think it's important because they're really trying to bring business in town. They're 7:30.
I'm super interested in that one.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Done.
Done.
I just moved from a very, very poorly planned, economically developed
Great.
town.
'Cause-
So
and-
I feel strongly about this.
Great.
Yeah. Housing board, Maria, you okay to carry on?
I will do that, yep.
Recreation committee, John.
Yep, yeah, I'll keep that. Hillary, my wife, is the new chair. Matt isn't anymore.
Okay. Water resources, that's Kashava, who's completely,
Yes.
I'm not sure.
So, they meet they meet Tuesday nights. So Water Resources is going to be a read the minutes kind of deal because they meet, right now they're meeting, my husband's on it. And it's via Zoom, but, so you could actually rewatch their meetings if you wanted to, but we can't attend it anyway.
I mean, I can take that one. I gotta at least pick up one of these, so that's fine. What do we exactly do for them?
They worked on the water line that they brought the water in from, from Littleton. So the part that we're interested in is what's this going to cost the town?
Gotcha.
And that's, and all of these is, kind of that part of it is just the financial part.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Library board, Joe.
All mine.
All yours, all over it? Okay. Agricultural Commission, I mean, some of these I don't usually need to have.
I can do AgCom because
Okay.
I'm not going to their meetings, but my husband's on it, so I can get
Okay.
an update from him.
Okay, Cemetery Commission.
Becky
You see
was.
Owen more than we do.
I know. Becky was on it because Owen was the chair. I can do it and get my updates from Owen because I'm not going to their meetings either.
Okay. Conservation, Joe, you okay with that still?
Yep.
Council on Aging, I know you like doing that one, Maria.
I do. I haven't been able to get there because
Yeah.
of my hips, but I'm hoping to get there in the fall.
Design Review Board, do we even have that?
So we should, so the design review board works with the planning board. I could be the liaison, and they don't have a lot of meetings. Their purview is strictly for development in town center and reviewing. They're trying to expand their purview, but it's one of those things where they look at plans, they look at a building, they look at a sign, and they say, okay, the sign works within the zoning or whatever kind of plan that they have. So, I mean, I could do that and just review minutes.
Yeah.
I won't go to their meetings, because sometimes I think they meet early in the morning
Yeah.
too, so.
By the way, who's chair of the Council on Aging now?
Oh my God. Susan. Thank you, Latan.
Susan
I'm having a senior moment.
Lissard?
Yeah, Bill, not Susan, Bill.
Oh, Bill Lissard.
Yeah, I was asking Susan to help me
Oh.
find the name.
Okay. Joe Steel Farm?
Yep.
Good for you. Anybody for sustainability? Oh, yes,
I've been
sustainability.
doing that.
That's you, right? Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
yeah, that's me.
Wellbeing Committee. Do you want something on that?
I think we need to have a liaison that doesn't necessarily go to the meetings, but they added hours this year. I think it's important. This is one
Yeah.
of those committees that it, like, you know, may try to add more hours to that department, so
Well, it's sort of like,
They meet
yeah.
at,
they meet
at 10 a.m., so I
Yeah.
couldn't do meetings, but I could
liaison with them.
liaise,
Yeah, okay,
you know, read their minutes and.
okay.
Yep,
Zoning Board of Appeals,
I can do that as part of, they meet on Tuesday night, so I can read minutes as part of my planning board kind of thing.
Land Stewards.
Yeah, I'll keep that one. It's fine. Tony, one other thing too for RecCom, can you
Yeah.
update the chair from Matt Sperling to Hillary Grevin?
Sure.
And it's one L in Hillary, just so you know.
And then, Tony, I'm gonna have you go up above to Jesse Robinson.
Yeah,
She's no longer the chair, just leave it blank, because I'm not sure if Al Murphy's the chair again, but I know that Jesse's moved out of
Right.
town.
okay.
Yeah, Sam Anderson's now on select board, so I don't know who's the new chair of Cons.
Yeah, Sandy, yeah.
Yeah, and the EDC is not Abby Reap, right?
Abby Reap was the chair last year,
Oh, she-
and they
okay.
tend to do 2-year chairs as well.
Okay, maybe it's okay, yeah. Any of these down here we ought to be part of? Was anybody interested in being part of? I mean, as liaison. PCCC, Michelle, I thought you were interested in
Yeah.
that, weren't you?
Yeah,
Do
I
you
can,
want to be a liaison for that?
yeah, I can stay in touch with
I mean,
them.
you've been
I'm on
on-
the email list already.
Yeah, you'd be a
so-
non-voting member, I guess, but, yeah.
We don't currently have a building committee.
What's Board of Health? Almost nothing from us? I
Well,
ask
they have,
because-
they have meetings, a lot of it has to do with, septics,
Right.
right? We don't have water, we don't have septic, so it's a
Yeah.
lot of that, but they meet in person.
Okay.
I don't know how often. Bet you could find out quick.
So anybody interested in any of these other ones here?
Are you interested in Board of
I would
Health?
consider, my wife's like, I really want to get involved with something. I'm like, she's a nurse. I'm like, Board of Health, and a few way to learn about
Oh,
what's
so you're
going on.
volunteering, Jess?
No, just so I can learn more about it.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
know.
So, you know, you could
Stick
do
my
that,
toe
and
in.
then you could just email Marie and just say, I'm your liaison, let me know when your meetings are.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's,
Yeah.
you know, it may be something where, again, you could just read minutes and not have to go,
Right.
unless they have
Yeah,
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
These are all pretty quiet boards with
Yeah.
respect to, we need money for X.
I think the main thing is to reach out to them and let them know you're their
Yep.
liaison
Right.
and,
Yep.
and you're available and
Yep.
meet with them once or twice and you know, chit chat.
Yep.
Anybody else for any more?
I don't think so.
Okay, good, thank you.
So we just need personnel board filled.
Personnel board's a big one.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take this on, but I would go to a meeting if I will reach out to them and find out when their meetings are. I can't take this on because a lot of times actually on Tuesday nights, I have a DVSN meeting before this meeting, right? So I've been here on a board meeting for DVSN before our meeting starts, so I don't think I can take that on because of the time. But I
the
can.
Tuesday at 5:30 one?
Yeah.
That's
So,
just a
It's tough.
tough time.
so, but it's important, so we got to figure
Is
that
that one
out.
that Becky could do even not being a member of this?
Say that again?
Could Becky do it still?
We could ask her to do it.
On our behalf.
Ask her if she's interested in doing it. We could reach out. Do you want to do that? You want me to do that?
That may be a best option, right? I mean, it sounds like we're all a bit stuck here.
Yeah. I can certainly.
If she would be okay, I mean, I don't know how we communicate back from that.
All right. Well, let me. I can communicate back to you. I can reach out to Becky.
Yeah. I mean, if she goes as our person at the meeting,
Yeah.
how does she communicate back to the FinCom about what's
Well,
going
if
on?
she does decide to do it, it's 5:30. She could come back here and we could ask her to report at 7 because
Yeah.
right there, like,
Yeah, just
Yeah.
come on in.
we just can't make her wait till the end of the meeting to report to us.
Yeah,
Top of the
I'll make
agenda.
I'll make her first on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
All right. So I can ask Becky about that.
Okay, great. Okay, so the other topic on my organisation list is a proposed meeting with the Acton Select Board, Acton FinCom, Boxborough Select Board and the Acton Boxborough Regional School Committee on September the 3rd.
And is that at their request?
It's at the
Or-
request of the school committee, actually.
Okay, so we would be going to Acton for that?
Yeah.
And September 3rd is on a Wednesday
It's
for
a
everybody?
Tuesday, I think. It's right after Labour Day, I think, isn't it?
September 3rd, Wednesday, yeah.
Is it Wednesday?
The 3rd, yep.
Okay.
The 3rd is Wednesday,
Third,
yep.
yeah.
My calendar.
I think we have a FinCom meeting on the Tuesday, actually.
We do. We don't have,
I don't trust that it's
the
empty.
personnel board thing's not gonna work. We need to go back to a different plan.
Oh.
You already got
So-
feedback on that one?
I already heard back on that one, that was quick.
That was a quick answer.
So September 3rd, that would be at the Region presumably. They would probably do it at the,
Yeah.
okay. And we do have a meeting on the 2nd.
I mean, I think the objective is really to sort of share all of our issues, and I think my idea was that this would be where we sort of talk about the override and the sort of the budget sort of forecast for.
But wait a sec, who's calling the meeting? Are they calling it or are we calling it?
They are calling it.
Okay, and what is their objective in calling the meeting?
I think it's to understand all the issues facing Acton and Boxborough in funding the school district.
Are they unaware of them at this point in time?
I was just thinking, wow, we're not communicating
Is
well
this-
then.
Is this news to them?
Okay.
So we did this a few years ago. Were you on the committee then?
I remember going to a meeting at the
new
Boardwalk campus.
Yes, and so
Where
this
we all-
that was
we
the
all got to-
first big
Yeah.
meeting that they did for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
And we went, and it was, we just did a quick presentation on what
Yeah.
we expected from them. But like Acton FinCom had a PowerPoint, so I
Right.
guess we have to understand
Yeah.
what's expected from us.
Sure. Yeah. I can do a PowerPoint at a drop of a hat.
I mean, I do think it's important that we go, but I'm with John. They should understand the
Yeah.
majority of our issues, but I think it's important. I think it's also important to go, John, though, so we can hear Acton and what their feeling was.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I thought it was going to be about. Is like, what's going on with Acton, what's going on with their override situation, what's going on in terms of where they're going to be in terms of funding the school, what's going on with Boxborough in terms of our situation and what are our constraints. So I think it sounded like a constructive idea. I think Adam has been the driving force behind this, in putting this together.
Okay.
And to me, it sounded like a good idea to have that communication because, I mean, in the past we've been a bit bent out of shape when Acton have sort of like driven the bus, and we've not been on, So I think we need to be, there and participate. Actually.
All right, so we'll talk about it at our next meeting in August about what we'll,
Yeah. And in the meantime, I can work more with Adam and see what he's got in terms of objectives and layout of the meeting and
and I think
And
we
that sort
should,
of
I think we should work with the select board. I mean, I think the select board in Boxborough and FinCom, we need to be on the same page with what's coming up, right?
Yeah.
So maybe even, one presentation, if there's a presentation to be made between the two boards.
yeah.
You and Kristen and
Yeah.
Mike could work on that.
What was the time on that, on the 3rd? Was there a time?
I would imagine, last time it
Put in
was,
for 7, just to.
yeah, last time I
6,
think it was like
7
at 6, they fed us.
They fed us, we toured the school.
And then, yeah, we did tour the school. We won't do that this time. I'm sure we'll just go to the
Yeah.
admin building and do it in the conference room there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other thing I just got in today was that I got a timetable for the special town meeting.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't think I've got it on my PowerPoint, but I think I sent it out to everyone, right?
You did. So that means
Yeah, I
we
thought I
have
saw
to
that.
vote whatever's on that STM warrant.
Is that the fire station one? Or is that,
No,
is this
so
is
that's,
this the zoning one
that's
for
the zoning one for the MBTA.
MBTA zoning, yeah.
But
that's
the fire station, we had a tri-board, I was going to report on this, but we had a meeting between select board, fire station, and planning board, and we've asked them to bring forward zoning for the fire station at the October 14th meeting too. So it could be both, but it's definitely for MBTA.
Right.
So we would need to vote on that on the 2nd, right? At our September 2nd meeting.
They've got a draft warrant to FinCom on 12th of August.
12th of August.
Just a draft warrant, yeah. So
Yeah, but our
and vote on the 25th of August, yeah. No,
No.
26th.
No, that's our second draft. And then the final
Oh,
warrant
final vote,
vote
yeah.
is on the 9th, but we don't meet on the 9th. We meet on the 2nd and then the 2nd and then whatever 2 weeks later is.
Let's say the final vote is the 9th.
Right, but the 9th we don't meet, so we meet on the
Oh, I
2nd
see,
and we
yeah.
meet on the 16th, so we
Yeah,
would have to
so
vote
it's
on that
the
on the
second,
2nd.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's the day before our special meeting.
Yeah, that's our regular scheduled meeting.
Okay. And then the next meeting of FinCom is going to be 19th of August.
Yes.
Okay, so next is committee reports, if there are any. John Connor, any committee reports?
Sorry, guys. No, there hasn't been a full committee meeting since June, so
All right.
got nothing.
John Grieven?
Nothing just yet from RecCom. For sustainability committee, we haven't met since the last update I had, but I did contact, and Tony, thanks for the redirect, to get all the details on the pay. They've been talking about the pay-as-you-throw model, and Maria, this is what I want to talk to you about a little bit.
Good, because that's what I have outlined in big red, like,
Okay,
circle.
good. Yeah, because so I asked for the breakdown of the numbers that we have for the transfer station, sticker price versus the cost of operations at the transfer station, because I know there's been a lot of talk about essentially whoever gets the transfer station sticker is getting quite the little bargain because the way it's baked into the budget, because we don't essentially sell enough stickers because so many residents do curbside, private curbside. So Ed actually sent along a great spreadsheet of like the last 4 years so we can kind of crunch some numbers and understand that to see how this is all going to work out if we want to move to pay-as-you-throw. I think my main concern is like this fiscally needs to make sense for residents, otherwise no one's going to buy in, or everyone will buy in depending on which way it goes. So I did get those from Ed. I haven't dove into that and see what it looks like. But I know when I was at the last FinCom meeting, Maria, you and Becky both mentioned briefly this has come up once or twice before, I believe, and been defeated both times.
Yes.
And I would love that historical perspective to understand what we're going to run up against and why it got defeated.
Okay. Do you want to go before I ask my questions on it? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Either or. Go for
So,
it.
I mean, just quickly, people, first of all, it's Boxborough.
Yep.
Foxborough is not big on change
Yep.
in general.
Yeah, I've noticed. Yes.
So, but the issue people had is I'm paying $150 for a sticker, and then I have to go to the grocery store, which is not going to be Market Basket, which is like where I normally shop, right? I have to go to Roach Brothers, I have to go to Ace, I have to buy special bags, because at the time you had to buy the special bags, and then they were $2.50 a bag, or $2 a bag. Put your trash in that bag to bring it to the transfer station. So why am I paying $150 for the sticker? But there's also recycling. And that was really the biggest pushback, was the fact that what we heard from people, and what I said is, we don't get a lot of town services unless you're a parent. My kids went through and got a great education, don't get me wrong. But when that stops, like, yeah, my roads get clean. Well, I can live anywhere and get my roads clean. So the transfer station, $150 is a bargain, but people feel like that's, what you get living in Boxborough. You can do that instead of curbside pickup, and
Gotcha.
you shouldn't have to pay as you throw. The biggest pain in the butt, I think, with that is the bags. Like, I don't shop at any Acton stores. I shop at Market Basket. So I literally would have to go out of my way to get bags.
Yep.
To be able to throw my stuff away, at least in the old model. I don't know what the new model looks like.
Yep. Yeah, I think with the new model, the pay-as-you-throw would be excess. So everything would get picked up curbside, trash and recycling, and if you go over whatever like size container you have, you would need extra.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
What does that mean, curbside? Is the
Town
town going to pay for curbside pickup?
From what I initially understand, yeah, that's the way it would work.
So
It would be baked into our taxes. I think
So we're
what I
going to buy a
understood so
truck
far.
and
It's very high level right now. Like we don't have a formal.
No, we're not going to buy a
plan.
truck. We're going to have to contract with like
Yes.
a contractor.
Yeah, it would be contracted out.
So then, are they going to bring it to the transfer station?
We would still have the transfer station. This is all like really early planning phase in terms of how this is actually going to work out. But the very high level plan is we would have curbside that would be funded through our taxes. There would be some initial grants as well to like have some kickoff costs, if you will, to like buy all the containers for everyone. There's lots of grants for things like that. But they're trying to, and the reason I asked for the sticker prices is I was like, well, you can't have a $150 sticker and then want $300 for every resident curbside.
You're not going to get 300 a month? I mean,
No, for like a year. Like we're trying to make the money work. I don't have enough details on this yet.
What does it cost for a private trash pickup in Boxborough?
So I've heard $600-700. I don't know. I don't have private.
So I have private pickup. It's
I don't
$700 a year.
Yeah.
Right?
So how
and that doesn't include recycling. It's
so
just
how
trash.
could the town afford to? I mean, presumably there's a profit motive in there for those companies.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but even so, if you even did that at cost, I bet it's going to cost you something close to that, right?
Well, and the goal is to not do that, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to even bother with it. So we haven't gone forward enough with all of the numbers. But my very high level understanding, like, because we've met twice so far, so we haven't mapped out any of this, would be, and this is how I understand it right now, this is totally subject to change. Is that right? Just, these are, for example, numbers, total hypotheticals, okay, so we haven't done the math on this at all, but the only factual one is the transfer station is $150. I don't know how much a transfer station actually should cost, in that we're getting a bargain.
Obviously more.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously more, so we'll just say 300. We'll just double it for fun, hypothetical. The idea would be that curbside would be like there, if you will, for all residents, for trash and recycling pickup. So it would financially make sense and be below the cost of private pickup that everyone's paying for. We haven't done any of that math yet. We've had some examples presented to us and all this stuff,
By
but
whom?
From the Mass State grants that came in and showed us all this stuff with examples from like 5 different towns and how it might work for Boxborough. But we have not sat down for Boxborough and crunched the exact numbers of what it would exactly look like. But I think also, from what I understand, because honestly at this point we met 2 months ago and I did not review this before tonight, so that's my bad. But it does, I think, involve a lot of getting 90% buy-in from the town. So all of you private would drop and want to join, ideally, because it would be cheaper. But that's, I think, what would need to make the math work. Because otherwise, one of the things I think we're also facing is everybody in town that has private is like, why do I want to switch? They're great. They come, they get my trash every week. I have no problems with them. I don't want to switch.
So there's one truck that comes down the road instead of one every single day or 3 every single day.
Yes.
You know? Just in the 3 houses that I have bought,
that's
there's 3
true.
different days,
There's
3
three-
different
yeah.
trucks.
Yeah.
I think for me, having just moved here and done this whole song and dance, it all comes down to user experience, because having town pickup is great until you are, doing yard work, doing construction, going to the transfer station, dropping off all of your own stuff is a lot more appealing than having a fixed liter. And then a couple years go by, okay, we need to downsize the amount of trash, everyone goes down to like a 30-liter container, all of a sudden there's a riot, you can only fit 1 trash bag. Like the transfer station is a huge perk, and I know it's like a historical thing, but I think user experience and like value comes into it a lot. So I'd be really interested. I know you just started, but I'm really interested in how that works out.
And you know what? The grant money to kick us off, that needs to be gravy on this whole thing, because the reality is there's a lot of grant money that went away in January, and that was unexpected. And we're about to lose a ton of education money and all of that.
That was my first question. This is a lot of state grant money.
Yeah. And the state's got a lot.
I was like, this is our money? And they're like, yeah, it's from the state.
Yeah.
So
that's true, but the state now needs to pick up a ton
all
of
this
federal
other
stuff,
stuff.
right?
Yep.
And we're losing millions, tens of hundreds of millions of dollars
For
in
really
federal
important
monies, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to know about grant money. That one needs to be the gravy. I want to know what this is going to cost day one if there was no grant money.
Right.
And then day 368, because I want to know what it's going to cost a year later. Because my concern with this is that I don't see how you make those numbers work.
Right. Yeah, and that's honestly that's why I asked for like that stuff from Ed too.
It's
to
going to be cheaper to take your own trash in your own car to the trash to the truck and then a truck come and pick it up for you and take it there. I mean, just logically, it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, and so that's trying to make all those things balance out and doesn't make sense.
So, but John, what is their objective? What problem are they trying to solve?
The main problem we're trying to solve is just more from like a environmental and economic, reducing waste just overall. In the communities that they've done this, they've seen waste volumes go down and recycling go up, and then also composting increase. A lot of our waste is just food. Everyone throws it away instead of composting it. But that's the biggest thing. So just overall, like state goals to just reduce our trash volume, period. Over by 2030, 2050, part of that whole like state Go Green initiative.
So the feeling is if we get curbside pickup and they give us a 10-gallon barrel, right? I can't throw anything away and I'm going to start composting because that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, so, and I have already raised these concerns, like as a parent with 2 kids, I'm like, I don't want to be at the store every day buying more bags, like.
That's what I'm saying.
Because there's a lot of families in town like that, so.
Well,
and I agree with you, Maria, it will fail for that reason. If you're just like, here's your little 10 little box, like.
Yeah.
I
and
have
go
to,
out back and compost.
like,
I don't want to do
my
that.
car
I'm gonna
is.
call 1-800 junk.
Yeah.
And then I, as the individual, I'm gonna end
Yeah.
up. I'm a
Yeah.
little salty about this. You know, you pay as the individual $500, $600 extra dollars a year, and the town can say, "Oh, we reduced waste." Not really. I just had some random guy
Yeah.
pick it up instead. So I think for me, like, can you go back to what problem they're trying to solve? If it's just, are we getting an incentive for going green? Or is it just like kind of a feel-good goal right now?
Yeah, so overall, I think for us, our benefit would be the cost should come down overall for everyone.
Like transfer station OpEx.
So like somewhat like that, but also one thing they are sensitive to is keeping the transfer station still open because they know everybody loves it, and the way we can just throw away like white goods and all that stuff on the house all the time. And so, because I was like,
Swap shed.
I was like, and we got the swap shed coming in, we got the money to build that. I'm like, if you close the transfer station, this is dead in the water. That'll never happen.
But so we're going to have to run the transfer station.
So I'm not sure how all that's going to work too, because we're still paying transfer station people.
So with all due respect to everybody who's doing this, here's part of the problem. The state wants to reduce waste, but there's this disconnect. We have to continue to pay to run the transfer station.
The money's got to make sense.
And we're going to add this to your taxes, which we're already struggling with our taxes, and we're going to add $600 a year to your taxes, whatever it is. But then you're going to have to go buy bags. This is where it gets too convoluted.
Yep.
That's why I do curbside pickup because when my kids were little and we had a lot more trash, John, I have like 2 bags of trash now, right?
Yeah.
When we had a lot more trash, my husband worked a gazillion hours and weekends, so he couldn't always get there. And I was like, I'm paying for curbside pickup because I don't want garbage overflowing at my
One less
house.
thing to do.
Right?
Yep.
But there are people who are like, they're retired, they don't pay at all for the transfer
Oh, because they have
station.
the free sticker. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot to
Been
consider
paying for
there.
30 years and they want the free sticker now.
So I really think this needs to come, this is going to come down to numbers for me.
Oh, no, yeah, that's exactly where I am. Because, I mean, like, I love this stuff in terms of like, yay, hooray for the environment and all that stuff, but I'm like, if the money's not there, this is never going to work.
I mean,
Like, from a
also-
FinCom perspective, I can't come back to all of you and be like, look at this great program, but it's going to cost us an extra $500K.
And it's got to be money without the grants.
Yeah.
Because grants will be there for the first few years and then they'll go away.
Yeah.
So it's got to be, what's this going to cost us without the grant, kick?
Yeah.
You know, it's minor, but there's also wear and tear on roads, like those trucks when they're
Multiple trucks versus one,
Ed
you
was
mean?
coming by, he's doing one way. The ones on our street, they pick up the trash. They're going back out to 495. They're doing a 3-point turn
Yep.
a couple times a week on country roads. So it's minor, but there's a lot of different pieces
What
that go
about
into.
residents like who can't bring their trash all the way down their driveway? Like, is someone
Yeah.
gonna do that for
Sure.
them? Is trash gonna like? I think there's just a lot of user experience. Good luck digging
Yeah,
into
no.
this one. It's a heavy one.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing.
My biggest thing is
this
just-
is the pushback from this committee. There's a new resident, a long-term resident, and a long-term resident. But here's the pushback that you're getting from us. It's not just financial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's like ease of use.
Easy-
And
right.
these are things I've already brought
and this
up.
is all the stuff that we heard when we talked about pay-as-you-throw the first time. And we should not do it if it, we should not have the discussions. But I'm not.
I think it's
This
worth
isn't
exploring, but it needs to make sense.
I
It
think
needs to make
The
sense.
ultimate feedback would be like, what is
And
the
like you said,
incentive?
the user experience.
What is the incentive?
What
to
is the
do
goal?
this? Because
Yeah.
feeling good for the state, frankly, like I don't give a
That-
hoot about.
That's
feeling
a
good for the
luxury.
state
That's
right
an
now.
economic luxury if you can
know?
afford it.
Exact. That's a
Yeah.
beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah.
All right, so I have one more
Okay.
question.
Yes.
You're not, do you do sustainability for all the stuff?
It was just for this
Just for that?
so far.
Okay, well,
But
because.
I'm happy
the-
to do other stuff. as
Well,
part of it.
because as a green community, Boxborough is eligible for $132,000 in funding intended for conversion to LED lighting and weatherizing municipal buildings. Great.
Okay.
Beginning with the Blanchard Elementary School. We don't own the Blanchard Elementary School, right? They are their own green little community because they have got a person, when I was on school committee, we were getting all sorts of grants for green stuff. We shouldn't be putting any Boxborough money into Blanchard, period, because we don't own that building. We pay for maintenance of it through our taxes, through our assessment.
Assessment, yeah.
That money, we have a lot of buildings in town and we could use $132,000. So by first implementing these changes and demonstrating long-term cost savings, the town may be better positioned to adopt specialized stretch codes. I agree with all of it, except for we're starting with Blanchard, so, but you're not on that committee. Okay, so we need to, I think FinCom needs to take a position of, we don't own Blanchard, and we should not be using Boxborough money for anything that's regional property. Do the library, do
Here?
all of the other
Right here?
buildings, yeah, exactly.
So I thought, John, you were sustainability. Are you not?
I am, but the only thing I've met, I haven't been to those meetings. This was just the waste reduction committee part.
Right,
Okay.
and this is,
So I will reach out.
They tapped
Could
a
you
member
take
for
that
right?
on? Could you
Yeah,
be
yeah,
our
yeah.
sustainability liaison?
Yeah.
Could you pass back that
Before we-
message? Because I wasn't even aware of that. But
Yeah, sorry, because
I read that in the Boxborough News, and then I
Okay.
was like, oh,
The
no,
only
no.
focus
this-
I've been
this is
on
not-
part now is just
Yes, the Boxborough News, good job reporting.
I will take that on because I've only been looped into the waste reduction committee
Okay.
part of it. So I'll take on.
But yeah, that's really important, because I
Yes.
want to see the money stay in town.
Will do.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
I'll reach out to Kate for that.
Good.
Thank you.
Joe Stolpen, committee reports.
Nothing this week.
Michelle, anything? No,
Haven't been
probably
on a
not.
committee yet, so I'll let you know this next time.
Maria.
Fire Station Building Committee. We had the joint meeting, the 3-board meeting, and we all tried to get to a place where we understood that the planning board has their role, Fire Station Building Committee has its role, Select Board has its role, and the biggest thing right now is we need to deal with zoning. So, the planning board, 3 of the members pushed very hard to try to get it into the October meeting. There was a little bit of pushback from a couple of members. They felt that the timeline was too short, but they're having a special meeting tomorrow night just to discuss the fire station. It's a Zoom meeting. And we are all, I think, I can't say FinCom, but the Fire Station Building Committee, the Select Board, and various members of the community are going to get on the meeting, and it's important to keep your camera on, because it's really easy to hide behind a name. Like, if you look at this, you know, John's the only person, but if these were, like, all members of the public, it's easy to hide behind a name, but like if you've got people who are looking at you on Zoom, it's a little different. So we want to make sure that there's an understanding, there's a lot of support out there for a zoning change. They've put forward a couple of things. A couple of members don't want anything in ag-res, a few members do. That's going to be a discussion for them. But the Fire Station Building Committee, parallel, is working with a group of primarily people who are against the fire station, for various reasons, to try to get to a place where we understand, or we can explain some of the issues that they're bringing up and some of the things that they think, you know, reduce the building by 10,000 square feet. Well, we really can't do that because we'll run out of room before day one. We'll be out of room while we're building it. So there's a couple of members of the committee working with that group, and we're continuing to explore other pieces of property people are bringing us. But the reality is we're down to 1414 again. We're going to ask them about possibly that front acreage. We don't expect that answer to change. 1300, Mike is reaching out to them again. We've already talked to them 2 or 3 times. We don't expect that answer to change. 700 Mass Ave, the house, the little blue house that's on Mass Ave, the house next to it. We talked to the people there about maybe buying their house and combining the properties. They weren't thrilled about that idea, but they were willing to listen. But we need to get it, we're looking at having a traffic engineer first look at that to do sight lines, because there's a concern about trucks coming out of that. So basically, the trucks would come out where that driveway is currently, the construction driveway. And when you're coming from the west
You can't see.
to the east, you can't see around that corner.
Yeah, my vet's
So,
right near there. You
right,
can't
so
see
then
it
we'd
all.
have to, you know, you either have to change the sight line, which literally means moving 111, which, you know, we can't get DOT to do that. We couldn't get them to do a culvert for 15 years, let alone that.
Yeah, you'd have to like chop the hill in half.
Exactly. Or possibly light. So we're looking for a professional to do that. We are getting back to the point where we're looking at 72 Stowe Road, we're looking at 502 Bass Ave, which none of us are thinking that's a good plan. 72 Stowe Road's ideal. If 700 and 800 Mass Ave, if the sight lines work, that actually would be a good piece of property as well, because it would come out right on Mass Ave, it's not that far off. The zoning we could deal with, there'd have to be a zoning change, but we could deal with that, there'd be less pushback. But the reality is, there's not much land that we haven't already studied. And we don't want to put a ton of money into this, so the studies we're doing are very high level, you know, I mean, I think there's some of us who are like, we don't want to put another taxpayer dollar into more studies on pieces of property we've already looked at. But we're doing very high level, and a lot of this, we've already looked at all these properties. So we have 13 years worth of backup on all these properties. I think the only thing we're gonna pay a little bit of money for maybe is the traffic engineer on the sight lines, because we really need to understand west to east, east to west, on the sight lines on Mass Ave. We're really trying to get the zoning change done in October, and we're hoping that the planning board will work with us on that, and we're trying to then get a plan based on the zoning change in front of the town for the December special town meeting, which is the second special, we're gonna have 2 this fall, to get the plan of about $2.5 million for plan. That will be based on whatever property we land on. And the reality is, you know, it's $4,000 a day for every day we delay building on this fire station. That's what it's costing the taxpayers. And that number makes me want to vomit every time I think about it. And there's no way to push this forward because
Meaning like the cost is growing?
the escalation is $4,000 a day. Right?
Awesome.
It's like $120,000 a year, a month, $1 million, blah, 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 per year. It comes down to, we whittled it down to $4,000 a day because people can understand that number. Like in a way that wants to, that they're sick to their stomach when they think about it, or they should be.
I got better things to do with that.
That's a lot of money. And when
our
you're starting
budget.
at $30 million
It's
and
more
we're
dollars
going,
than there are adult taxpayers in the
there you
town.
go. So, you know, the biggest thing is,
That's
the
rough.
problem is, right now, the most least expensive, most efficient building is on 72 Stowe Road. And
And that would need to be rezoned.
that would need to be rezoned, and we would need to get the abutters on board. Whether that's gonna happen, I don't know, so we'll
Yep.
see. That's where
Okay.
that landed.
Anything else?
No, that's it, that's enough.
Okay then, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, John Connor, motion is to adjourn.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting concluded at 9:07 PM, Gary.